Okay. Wait, David looks a little blurry.
Wait, am
What's
I
up?
blurry? Well, we're live anyway. What's going
There
on,
you go.
guys?
There you go.
Hello, world. And
Hi.
if you're watching this in the Digital Agency Hacker group, or on Karen's profile, or on my profile, or on my page, or on the YouTube channel, wherever you're at, welcome. Hi, it's David from the Digital Agency Hacker, and we have Miss Karen Height over here. You want to introduce our special guest?
Of course. Okay, I am so excited about this. We were actually chatting last week for a while. It's like, John, I gotta get you here on a live because I want to share your experience, and I want you to share that experience of like what exactly went in your last event. So John is an amazing digital marketing agency owner. He owns Pollyanna and focuses right now, I think, exclusively on HVAC. Right? Have you decided to like expand the niche, or are you like really honing in on HVAC?
Focus on HVAC, but we do have some other clients outside of it, but really trying to focus on HVAC.
Yeah, amazing. So you just went, John, through your first in-person event. So John and I were very close friends. He's inside of our Master Hacker Inner Circle members, which I am super proud of. He's like one of our OG members, I feel like it has been for a while. And like one of the most amazing people I've honestly met, like cute, biggest heart. So I was really excited when you said that you wanted to like push yourself, because you're always pushing yourself. I feel like you're one of those people that we will talk about a strategy or something inside of the group. It's like, I'm already implementing it. We had StoryBrand or something, like, it was like, I already have the script, like it's like, like the same day. So I really love that about you, John, because it really motivates me to like take more action. So when you said that I'm going to put on an event, we went through it together. We were just working on some stuff, on how this looked like. And I think the result was like, there was so much learning through it. So I wanted you to share, how did that go? Can you give us like what the event was about? Maybe let's start doing an intro on that.
Sure. So the event was called the Contractor Edge, and the idea was to bring to attendees, one additional insight, one additional relationship, mentorship, or new client, coming to the event. And so, yeah, Karen, you were there from the start, from inception to, the actual production of the event. Even like the nights before, I was like, oh, I need some help with some scripts. Like, what should I do in this situation? Like, you were there. So, like, thank you, Karen. Like, you were there the entire way.
Yeah.
So the event, it was a more intimate event. I'd say there was around 15 people that attended. And the feedback that we got, while it wasn't as big as we wanted, everyone said, oh, I took away some, piece of information. I took away some knowledge. I met someone new. And really, it was really exciting just to hear like the energy of people that came from the event. I will say that there's also a ton of lessons I gained that I can dig into that later if you want. But a lot of things that, because we had a short timetable, like we just had to figure it out in an accelerated way.
I have one. What were some of the, mental barriers that you had before this? What were some things that you were like, you know what, maybe I'm not ready, or maybe it's not time yet, or people aren't going to show up? What were you thinking beforehand that would have stopped you?
Yeah, I think the first thing was I was thinking it was going to be a lot bigger than expected. And, when I was first telling Karen, I was like, yeah, we're going to put together this big conference. There'd be 150 people there. And she was like,
I remember.
Whoa, we should do a proof of concept first. Test it out first.
Come back to me. John, like, yeah. Test this out.
She did the whole catch and the release the birds from the nest or whatever.
Yes.
Yeah. John was like going after. I was like, okay, but maybe we can like just do a little one, just a little bit. But so okay. So I like that question, David. I think one of the most difficult parts about having an event is that now you're pushed to, or not difficult, but just enlightening, I think, parts about hosting an event is that you get to see your interactions with other people under a different light. Under a light of like, do I have a purpose with the interactions that I have besides just like selling them something, right? So I think the networking side was one of the parts that you mentioned that you really grew on when you started thinking about doing an event. Okay, can you tell more to the people that are listening, to those agency owners that are thinking about doing an event too?
Sure. Yeah, I'd say that, the event is great, but it's going to be the pre and post event that I feel is the most important. And so, for me, I reached out to a ton of people locally just to try to get people to attend the event. And for some reason, the pressure of having an event, it made me more creative. And so for us, we like to work with a lot of contractors. And I realized oh, wait, I have a lot of people who are in real estate that I know. They have lists of these contractors that I could reach out to come to the event.
Yeah.
And so I began building relationships with realtors, real estate professionals, and finding contractors in ways that I didn't think of before. When I'm talking to people, even talking to clients, I told them, hey, I have this event coming up. As a value add, I'd love to have you there. And it's not about, oh, I got to sell you my digital marketing services. I feel like it puts you in a different bucket when you're putting together your own event and you're bringing together speakers. It's just completely different than I got to sell you something. And so for me, it was that networking leading up to the event, which I found so valuable to build these new relationships.
I think that's key. And that's one of the things that even when we were going through it, and this is, by the way, everybody, that if you're watching this, we're going to guide you through all of this in the challenge starting tomorrow. So for the next 4 days, 1 hour a day, we're going to go through all this in and outs. And I think like one of the things that people miss a lot is the fact that they feel that they need to have the agenda done. They feel they need to have the speakers done before they can even start talking about the event. And this is like the proof of like, those are the relationships that you're building with those real estate agents, those contractors. That's really what's going to build your pipeline after the event later on for like the rest of the year. That's why this type of strategies for me are so important, because it's not that one-time investment, even though it's a lot of effort and energy and a lot of stuff, it's just what takes you for the long run. Can you tell me, after hosting the event, what were some of your main takeaways? I would really love to understand, like even thinking about yourself as how you were networking, how you want to continue networking, how you're interacting with people, the pain points maybe that you were able to identify. Give us some thoughts here.
Yeah. So one takeaway was, and I didn't realize this beforehand, but timing and logistics. I mean, it's almost obvious, but it's like it's really important, especially for your target audience.
Yeah.
And so for us, we had to move the date once because we felt we weren't ready for the event. So originally it was March 30th, and at that time, all the contractors I spoke to, they were ready. It was a slower part of the season, so they could come. But then when we moved it up 2 weeks, the week before the event, it gets sunny, it gets really nice out. Now, everyone that we had reached out to who was coming, they're like, oh, sorry, we're booked out a few weeks now. We really wanted to come, but we're so busy now. So,
Oh my goodness. So do the event in rainy season. That's number one.
Well, you got, it depends, because if it's like roofers or something, like hail strikes and nobody can come to anything, that's like
the
80% of the business.
Well, that's very interesting, because it's particular to your industry, to your niche. And so like being able to know more about your client and what do they really like, how busy are they, like, because that is like, even if you want to like meet with them, you're gonna have to have that understanding, so it allows you to like just learn more about what they do. What else do you learn?
Yeah, number two, I'd say, so when it came to the speakers, I also didn't know this beforehand, and maybe this could help some other folks, but the focus of the event originally was, you'd be able to hear and learn from speakers who have built and sold, 7-figure home service businesses. The thing I didn't realize is that some of them have non-competes. And so if they're local, they can't be on stage speaking to people. And so the people I thought would be the big draws for the event, they couldn't do it because they sign a non-compete and they'll put their payout at risk. And so I didn't even know that until I started reaching out to people. So one of my clients who did that, there's a rock star in the industry and he was going to come, but just didn't think about that.
Man.
How were you able to manage the speakers then? Like, what topics you guys discussed? Because HVAC, like you were obviously talking about digital marketing. What other topics were you able to add to the agenda?
We had a financial planner who helps to set people up to sell their business and maximize their valuation. That was one of the speakers. We had partnered with the local trade college. And so we had someone there who shared free resources and ways to access state funding to up-level and upskill employees. And so, because in the trades, that's the big thing. We can't find employees, or they're leaving, or they're not, developed enough. There's a speaker who shared they'll cover 66% of the funding for that. And so then we had a banker who was speaking. We had someone speak on video and social media. Yeah, and those are the different topics we had for the event.
I like that you mentioned that was the big theme, because we did a similar one leading up to the Commitment Summit last year with the agency exit. It was just a masterclass. That's right, at one time. And
Yes.
what's cool about that target audience is that it basically encapsulates everything that you want in somebody that a marketing agency would want to work with. They're growth minded. They want to get their ducks in a row, their systems and processes, like, in order to sell. And a lot of the times you don't know all of that stuff. So building a package or agenda or whatever around that, and this works in any industry, right? All of them like are able to sell and be bought. Building a agenda around that, and obviously tailored to what their needs and wants are, with our little patented Karen's interview process, the filtration thing. But yeah, like, doing so, you can build that agenda, really pack it full of value and stuff. So I love that. So I got a question for you. So you were planning for a bigger event, it ended up being smaller, all right? Like she said, to do a little bit. No. No, but what would you have done, like, knowing that, like, it being a different size, and you may have been able to spend a little more time preparing for, like, some one-on-ones or anything like that? What would you have done differently if you would have just decided to keep it small, like, in general, and plan it that way? What kind of things would you have done differently versus, like, the big, lot of bodies in the room type?
Yeah, no, I'd say so one of the things that I also didn't consider was the team that was built creating the event, because I partnered up with a credit union, and I partnered up with the trade association, but I realized their goals were not aligned. They wanted people in this area, but our network was like up here, and I it's kind of not directly answering the question, but I would just say, like, who is putting together the event, make sure that your goals are aligned. Because if you're not, then I felt like we weren't really rowing in the same direction, and that caused a lot of conflicts.
This could be another good reason why it's a solid idea to test it out on a smaller group, because at that point you don't need partners. And even, I mean, if I were to challenge you, and we do this internally, like me and Karen do, but if you couldn't have any speakers, or if you had zero budget, like, just pretend that for a second, you know what I mean? Like, what would you do? You know what I mean? Like, how could you still, like, wow their socks off or whatever? Like, what would you do to make it a killer event and stuff? But any ideas there?
Yeah, and the other thing I would have changed too is tightening up the event. So if I did a free event, zero budget, I would have done maybe 3-4 hours afternoon event, or it could have been a morning event, so that it's not taking up people's full day. The location we selected for most people is at least an hour drive one way. And so that also made it challenging.
I mean, a smaller event, you would have more flexibility as well. You know what I mean? So okay. Yeah.
Less need for speakers, less pressure. So if I were to do it all over again, I would have just done a half-day event, maybe a handful of speakers. And, in our area, there's a lot of WeWorks and co-working spaces where if you just find a friend who has it, you get that for free.
100%. Well, a lot of, I think sometimes we still even get sticker shocked on this, is the cost of AV equipment.
Oh my God.
Karen's gonna be like, oh my God.
Oh my gosh.
Like, at every hotel it's different. And I'm like,
we charge you for the cable, like the cable, like, if you have can I
could buy 3 cables for this rental of the cable price.
It's like insane. John, what was one of the main takeaways that you got from those conversations with potential clients? Like, do you feel that from those 15 people that there were any future relationships that you were going to develop into a potential client? How was the feeling after the event or during the event?
Yeah, I'd say it's more the pre-marketing of the event. I met a few people who were local. They own these massive HVAC companies, between, I think, like 20 to 100 million, like these really big companies. And I met them because I asked my network, hey, who do you know as speakers? And so, I don't expect something to come from it right away, but I think just because I had a different reason to reach out, I'm just different in their mind. I'm not just this digital marketer. And I also met them in person. I'm not this fly by night, just email, cold call sort of deal. Like I'm part of your local community too.
I love that.
Those are some of the big things for me.
Wow. Yeah, I think like we sometimes forget because we're in digital marketing of the power of like being in person and with somebody and just like being
Yes.
able to like, like just laugh about whatever, and just like even little things like, oh, like somebody dropped something, just creating conversations, and creating memories. Because at the end of the day, that is really what prompts people like, oh yeah, I want to continue having conversations with John. It's just like we already have an experience. I love that what you said about, like it's not even like the attendees, it's like the speakers, even like the people that you're able to
Mhm.
connect that are already maybe in another category of revenue that you probably wouldn't have been able to tackle or tap into unless you were in that event. Like it's not that you're gonna call them and say, hey, like I want to just meet with you, right? Like they're gonna be like, well, what, like who are you? But now you have a good reason, you're
Exactly.
adding value to them because you recorded the whole thing, right? Like so
We
you like
did.
the
Yeah.
branding. How do you think about that is going to impact your agency now with the
Yeah.
event?
No, I thought it was so huge. Yeah, just we hired so that was our main cost really is hiring a photographer, videographer. And for us, we're going to use that material. Maybe we're going to create a course in the future where we can give gated access to potential prospects. We're going to snip up the pieces of content and then market those as well, and also prepare for a future event as well because we are thinking about doing something in the fall. And so now we've learned a bunch. Now we have some marketing material. Now we can actually get it done right. This time is very like, we got to get it done.
I think that was one of the most difficult things when we started doing events. And then whenever we stepped it up and started doing like the commitment summit, that size of event, it's like we have zero proof type of material to use to, because one of the biggest things, especially if you're running ads or something like that to like an event like that, is proving that you're like, is this real? Am I going to get scammed? Right? Like, obviously, in your local audience, you don't have as much of that problem because you got your local presence. You're like, I'm really here. But yeah, I remember that was a big thing. So that's awesome that you have that branding stuff to work with. Game
Yeah, I
changer.
cannot wait to see what you're going to come up with in your reels because that's something that we're very focused on as digital marketers, right? Like we need to like be present, and if we're going to push our clients to be present, like we have to show that from our own example or like lead with that, right? So thank you so much, John. This was amazing. I love you sharing with everybody about the experience that you had for your intensity. I cannot wait for the fall because that's going to be really cool for us to like work on that. And like now let's take the notes about all the stuff that we just talked, because I feel like when we like come back to that, like we can like hone in into this event being even more impactful, this year. So congratulations on that. What an amazing accomplishment.
Thank you both. I appreciate it. And Kara, you were there from the start, so really you helped give birth to this idea. So thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you so much. We'll talk soon.
Okay. All right,
So
bye.
for everybody else that is continuing to watch or you're watching this on replay, thank you so much for being part of this. We are starting this challenge tomorrow.
I'll pull up the page real quick. Hold on.
Yeah,
Okay.
in the next how many hours? So if you want to be with us in this 4 days where we're going to cover what John went through in that preparation and some of the lessons that we have gotten from hosting events like our masterminds or the commitment summit that's going to happen next month, which I'm super excited about, then you want to join and you want to be with us here. I'm also
And look at
going to
that, 20 hours left, guys. And we were just talking about this. We always do this with our events. We try to find new ways to make them better and better and better. That's kind of like a fault of ours, but like we're just trying to give and serve you guys. All right. So we had everything polished and done, and then boom, we start pulling in our Rolodex of like special guest speakers and everything like that. So we have a couple of them already prepared, and we got a big long list of potential ones. But can we announce that one for tomorrow? Like,
yeah,
okay,
let's do it. Okay, announce the topic first, because I think that like adds
okay.
more.
Let me scroll down then. Hold on one second. Okay, so guys, we'll run through this. So we're gonna show you how to launch your first profitable in-person event in just 4 days without complex funnels or breaking the bank. Okay. And also, if you listen to us, you can avoid a lot of potential errors and problems or whatever, kind of like the ones that we just went over. Okay. So, and you'll find for big agencies, this is going to be an awesome way to, as John just said, build out more social proof and a different way of marketing yourselves by building more authority and branding in your market, in your community, right in your backyard. For newer agencies and smaller agencies, we're talking about a new way to consistently grow your agency, connect with dream clients, okay? And again, build that authority that you much so need, especially earlier on while you're smaller. So y'all can skim through all this. It's at signup.digitalazhacker.com. The intensive method, we're showcasing this. We've been doing this for ourselves as well as teaching awesome mastermind members of ours. This is the first time we're releasing it outside of the mastermind circle, okay? So y'all get a special treat. Also, because we're celebrating the relaunch of the Digital Agency Hacker with our new membership, we wanted to make this first challenge absolutely for free. Now, the catch there is, because there is a catch, this is free for a limited time just during the live event. So Tuesday, just while it's like being live. So there's no replays or anything like that for this free offer. Okay, Karen and I are going to be hosting it tomorrow. We start 11 a.m. CT. It's going to be over Zoom. 4 days. It's an hour per day. So really, we could have said how to launch your first profitable in-person small scale intensive event in 4 hours. Okay. But it's 1 hour per day. All right. And then day one, event readiness and preparing your audience. And the special guests.
Okay.
Karen?
So guys, we're going to like go over like cool stuff in here. And one of the cool things about doing events is that you get to meet amazing people that are not only, adding value at that moment, they continue to add that moment. One of them is Jen Gottlieb. So we're super excited to have her tomorrow. We're going to talk about what you need to have in order to start thinking about doing an in-person event. And she's coming in to share a little bit about what networking should look like. So networking is like number one strategy to getting people in events. People that go to events want to go to more events. And that's the perfect sort of like pool of the audience that will come up to an intensive, or depending on how big you want to do your event. So being able to network with purpose is so important, so relevant. So join us tomorrow. Jen's going to be sharing that and sharing what tips and tricks she has done to be able to connect with people in the best way possible. I think she's one of those that leads with value. So I'm really excited to have her tomorrow as a special guest. So make sure to join to hear what golden nuggets she's going to be able to have. I've been amazed with the way that she presents. So like that alone is like, just, like being able to learn from somebody like that. She was in our mastermind for branding and sales. She came to TCS last year. So we're really excited to have somebody that we consider a friend in our digital agency hacker and master hacker network to be here with us tomorrow for the kickstart.
Yeah. And just in case it's not obvious, that's her going through her presentation was that our sales mastermind? Yes. Or branding mastermind.
That was a branding mastermind. Yeah.
Branding mastermind. There you go. That's right. That's right.
This year we put it together. So it was really fun. So anyways, yeah, make sure guys that you get access to this. Go to signup.digitalAgencyHacker.com. We already have a lot of people that join. You're going to get the calendar invite for this if we haven't already, for sure today. So you'll be able to join us, ask questions, be there in person. We want this to be very collaborative. And the cool thing is just an hour a day for 4 days. So like what a better way to invest your time instead of being on TikTok. Come join us.
And by the way, so you go here, you click on one of the buttons, it's going to take you down to this section right here. And then when you sign up, you get all the notifications and all that. You are going to be taken to the thank you page. And it's going to be a few things. There's a survey to complete and everything like that. It'll give you some instructions on how to get added to the private messenger group challenge. Again, all this is free. This is our first free event, I think in like 2 years, pretty much. Guys, if y'all need more help, there's an option to skip the line by texting in, okay? So I highly suggest you take advantage of that. If that's something you need, we're happy to help you further. This event is free. Obviously, we have other types of things that we can do for further assistance, and we'd love to help you. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
That's pretty much it. Okay, go sign up, guys. See you for tomorrow. We're going to get started. Oh my gosh. Okay, see ya. Bye.
Yeah.